Speech.
Shall I announce my candidacy for the staff representative to the local board, or is that violating something I signed?
Staff can do it.
Staff can do it?
Any slates or any...
I have no slate.
People.
I have some granite chunks, but I have no slate. However, in order to save WBAI, I have put myself on the chopping block as a candidate for staff representative.
Sacrificial lamb.
That's right. Why? Because no one else would do it. That's why. Someone had to do it.
A couple of us did.
Oh, yeah. But not the ones who complain the loudest.
Is that?
Max, cut your cake.
Da Vinci is making. He wants to
he wants some of the cake. Cut it. Maxwell, come cut the cake. We're hungry, eh? Come on.
That'll be the longest.
Yeah.
WBI in studio video.
Yes. Cut the cake. You want to get out of the light.
I wonder if somebody's going to despise what's happening out here.
Cut the cake.
Yes, they might enjoy seeing. Max is cutting a lovely mocha cake.
Mocha cake.
We're losing our claim.
With a lot of
I'll have that.
seashell icing on it.
Yes, it was a wonderful cake.
Who wants to be?
Yes. Well,
Max is
I
wearing...
have to go now. I'm going to have some cake.
Can you say that word on the air? The second one?
Bastard?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, there you go.
Bastard.
Max is wearing a lovely rat bastard t-shirt.
Which
with
was a
big...
WBI premium, I'll have you know. Thank you, Ken Gale. I paid for it. I actually pledged to get this.
with a lovely birthday boy button and a golden and velvet crown.
Some lovely Velveeta cheese as well.
Yes, the Velveeta cake.
If you get elected, Max, you can wear that.
Yes.
King Max.
No, they'll have to make me, what's the title?
King.
No.
King
of the Ring.
Despot.
It really looks like a King of the Ring.
That's right. I'm King Booker. No, I'm not
and
taking
there's an
steroids.
opening now that he's quit the WWE. He could actually get his place. Well, now they all run away after crying for cake.
Oh, I'm sure they'll all be back. I'm sure they'll all be back.
Bad radio, by the way.
No, our listeners.
Music?
What show is this, by the way?
They live for moments like this.
Why
live for moments like
the
this.
Cake Radio Crusade? I mean, it's the Moorish Orthodox Radio Crusade.
Well, look, we've actually got 3/4 of the famous, much hyped Moorish Orthodox Radio Crusade on air live reunion that the listeners were pining for last week. Well, we've actually got Sharon Gregory back here on the microphones of the Moorish Orthodox Radio Crusade. Imagine that.
You asked for it. You got it.
Only partially. Yes, I am here with my twin, Anne-Marie. Yes, my twin.
The terrible twins are united again. Watch out, New York.
See, we don't have a happy birthday song?
One of the points, we have plates and forks.
Somebody's looking for that.
Saying happy birthday?
Yeah, but do we have a CD
excuse to get a taste of your cake before you do.
Oh, yes, Max, we want to taste your cake, Max.
I licked the knife.
Oh!
Whoa! Now I would eat another slice.
Oh, Max, you really?
And he licked the knife before he cut it. Oh!
Ew.
Sad.
That's not true, is it?
You know, we also have all these.
He's just saying that to freak us out. That's not really true.
We have 3 plates. Wow, this is
3 plates.
communism.
Yeah, we're going all out. 3 paper plates.
That's all we got.
This is what happens when you have a king.
Marathon supplies haven't arrived yet.
Which is odd because we're always having marathons.
Oh, but not for plates, apparently.
No, and not for cakes, not for plates.
So I can cut the plates in half.
Hey, this is rare because we do have the Saddle Pals, the Saddle Gals.
Is your mic on?
All together at once.
Whoa!
Yeah, it's a rare occurrence, and we're certainly happy.
Oh boy.
hand me my rifle, I'll shoot those ducks.
Can I please have some cake?
Take some cake. Jeez. Gee whiz.
No.
Is Kathy like looking for place, or is she just she doesn't like the loud noises?
Yeah, Max, should I deal you your royal?
Give him the
Oh,
sliver.
sure.
Yeah.
Now, if I go into sugar shop, because I haven't eaten in the last 24 hours.
Yes. We there you go.
Shall I do an editorial against the Hawaiian barbecue restaurant for
Oh,
doubling my prices?
I don't.
No, Max.
What, you had a bad experience at the Hawaiian barbecue restaurant?
What's wrong with
I
Hawaiian
merely
barbecue?
called to make an order, and they told me the prices had doubled.
Oh, no. This city's going to hell, man.
But I get a roll with it now.
Who do they think they are, landlords?
Wait, unless you want to use blank CDs.
Okay.
Oh, what a great idea for a new premium.
Yeah.
CDs with cake on them.
And we already have them in stock.
Cake CD.
New $25 premium.
Yum. Oh, I can't.
No.
Well, it's.
She can't and I can't.
What the?
I can eat the icing off
Okay.
it, though.
Okay.
She can't do the wheat thing, and he can't do the sugar
Oh,
thing.
God.
Thank you.
It's like Jack Sprat and his
And
wife.
between them all,
Yeah,
they lick
Kathy
the butter
wants a
clean.
piece.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can share off
Would you,
of
do you
Pickle's
want this
plate.
piece? I did not touch it.
There you go. You can share that one together.
Okay, cool.
Oh, wait.
So should we identify everybody who showed up for Maxwell's birthday party?
Andrea
There you go.
discovered the plate.
I was going to bring coffee filters.
So we're joined in the studio on this historic occasion by, of course, Uncle Sidney Smith cutting the cake over there.
Yeah.
And R. Paul Martin,
Cutting
the
the cheese over there.
legendary host of Back in the Book.
The horrible thing I'm going to give you the cake.
Welcome aboard, Kathy Davis.
Okay.
And Andrea Fishman. And, of course, my two once and future co-hosts, Sharon Gregory and the inimitable Anne-Marie Hendrickson.
Wait, you changed your name?
That's right. I'm inevitable now.
I have to call you Im?
I'm in.
No, inimitable.
In? Oh, I thought you said inimitable.
Nimmy.
You can lick it off. See?
Do I get some cake?
No cake for you.
Oh, okay, for you.
Thank you.
No, we are not. This is a virtual cake that we're having.
That's right. No cake for
We
you.
would never, ever do anything like eat or drink in...
All right, now are we
Beautiful,
violating
beautiful
FCC
studio.
FCC
No,
regulations
no.
here?
Well, only
Are you
if
allowed to
feel
eat
that, like,
in the studio,
sugar or
or-
chocolate make you, like intoxicated in some way.
Which, of course, and we all know that they're drugs, so.
Yeah.
But they're acceptable
I'm going
drugs.
to do an experiment now. I'm going to take off the windscreen
Good cake.
and substitute some icing from this cake. And see if it makes an adequate
Please
windscreen.
don't do that, Mac.
This is like definitely cut above cake. It's got like real almonds and
That's from an Italian bakery in Astoria.
in Astoria.
Is it cappuccino cake?
It is a mocha cake. It's a coffee cake.
Excellent.
And someone is very skilled at making little seashells with their little frosting.
Their little
Applicator.
frosting thingy, yeah. Thingy.
If Max gets elected, can we have another cake?
Yeah.
With a file in it.
You got that right.
Oh, no. Max is getting elected on one of these sort of Edgar Allan Poe sort of platforms, you know, like if I get elected, there'll be a cake for everyone.
Okay, I'll vote for you. No problem.
Absolutely, no problem. Cake.
Hey.
What happened to Einstein?
Oh, he's not well.
Well, he's been making too many trips into master. He's probably sickened him.
How about Satan? I think we should invite Satan to the party.
Well, he
Okay.
only did a quick showing of one of the tapes, so God bring Satan on more.
That's what we need around here, bad guys.
Yeah.
No comment. This is the sound of several people
Chewing cake.
No. It's virtual cake. It's imaginary cake.
The cake that only shows up on camera, but it's sort of like a camera trick.
Oh,
It's not
okay.
really there.
Oh, Photoshop cake.
It's like a Photoshop cake.
Photoshop
I'm not
cake.
eating any cakes. So.
That's
Give
right.
it another 5 minutes and it won't be there.
Ah!
So you guys gonna do a show tonight or what?
Yeah.
We're doing the cake show.
Okay.
This is the show, Max.
Pretty flimsy premise for a radio program.
Well, we think we may be able to sell it to Bravo, actually. So
It's reality radio.
exactly.
You're going to vote one of the cakes off the...
That's right.
Out of the studio.
That's right. No, tell the home.
You know,
it
your
could be a
mic
better
is not
cake if
working,
only this
Paul.
good.
To the extent that we care about these sorts of things tonight, why don't you try that one? There we go.
111. Am I here too?
Just barely. To say the truth, I don't know why it's not registering. It's turned on. It's potted up.
Shout really, really loudly
Oh, wait.
and overwhelm everyone's mics in the room.
You want to sit down?
No, I'm looking for the bad microphone.
Max is going to fix the mic.
So I'm going to earn my salary here while I'm
Yeah.
making one.
Huzzah!
You know what it is?
Birthday.
Oh, no wonder. You know, people keep touching this microphone now. Is it coming on? Is it making any noise?
A little bit.
Yeah. Something. No wonder the way they've got the cord jammed.
Say a word or two.
A word or two.
Mm-hmm.
Let me isolate it. Is this the one? Is it on?
It's you're coming through kind of
We don't know.
snappling,
You're the engineer.
snappling and crackling.
I'm not listening to headphones. Now it should be off. And now it should spring to life. Oh,
And indeed it does.
jolly. It's the magic touch.
Indeed, the Midas touch.
Human hands.
We've always said that about you, Max.
So you don't need management, but you need engineers. Can I still say that as a candidate for the board?
Yes. Hey, I said it at an LSB meeting tonight.
Oh, when we were in such a happy place.
Well, you know, we have so many people in here. We did have a show planned, or at least I did, and I just think it's silly to go forward with it. I think I should just sort of make a statement I was going to make later in the show and just see how people react to it. It was a show about freedom of speech on a show. Is there a freedom of speech on this show? And my position is...
For whom? That's the
absolutely
question.
not. There is absolutely not freedom of speech on the show for the same reason that there is
There
not...
is for us.
There is not freedom of speech on the show in the same way that there is not freedom of assembly in my vagina. And there is not freedom of assembly around about in the area of Bill's penis. And no one has a constitutional right to come on the air and just talk to us. You know, you have a constitutional right to attempt to start a conversation, and if we're not interested, we have the constitutional right to blow you off. Let me give you one specific example of it. There's a wonderful movie that came out in the early 80s. It is a masterpiece. It's by the great Abel Ferrara. Most of the movies that he made, in fact, I think he's a genius. I think most of his movies are just amazing. And one of the most amazing of his movies was the movie Ms. 45. And with the great Zoe Lund, who was working under a different name at that time, but quite a beautiful young woman, playing the lead as a mute fashion model, fashion assistant. And the opening scene of this movie, she's walking up 7th Avenue to her job, and she cannot even get past one single block without 50, maybe 60 guys like jumping out of like between cars and out of trucks and out of hallways, and they're all like leaping up and like just harassing her, basically. baby, you're mom, you know, bless the mother gave birth to you, blah, 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 blah. And not every guy, but I would say probably 9 out of 10 guys that I've seen this movie with had the reaction of, oh, it's not really like that, is it? You know what? It is like that. You know, even I am now like sort of past the point where one should have been expected to be beyond that. And it still happens to me on the street, at 50. And in my 20s, I was very pretty, but I was not as pretty as, in fact, as the actress in this movie. And I would say that my experience is exactly what you see in the movie, and my guess is that the actress in this movie, that her experience was way beyond that. If anything, that they soft-pedaled it for the movie experience. Meaning, what I'm trying to say to those of you who have a hard time with this idea, that all women go through this experience, that you just can't change the batteries in your Walkman, you can't like check your watch, you can't do anything without having it suddenly be a time for a bunch of guys you don't even know to come up and just feel that they have the right to talk to you and make time with you, and that your life is to sort of be on display and you're on a kind of stage, and that you have to play to them. And that if you don't, you are a bitch, because that's the other point, the part of this. Like, you know, you're just the most beautiful woman in the world unless you don't answer them. And then, I can't even say on the radio the words that get yelled at you behind your back as you keep walking behind them. And every female in the world learns this lesson at a really, really early age. Let me tell you the age at which I learned it. It was at the age of 11 when I was at the Griffith Park Observatory with my parents. And we were standing in the large reception room where they have a Foucault's pendulum. I'm sure that you all know what it is. It's a large sort of like, it almost seems like a perpetual motion machine, but it isn't really. But for a long time people thought that it was. And it just rotates back and forth at a rather predictable rate, at a rather predictable speed, and you can make a lot of predictions on the basis of what this pendulum does. And standing there at the age of 11 with my parents, I was looking at it going back and forth and back and forth after having already been in the planetarium and seen the sky show, and I felt a hand on my behind. And I thought it was my father, since I was there with my parents. I still thought it was a little weird for my dad to grab my butt, since it wasn't, in fact, something that he generally did. But I thought, it's probably my mother or my father. And I turned around and I said, "Oh, Dad." And I looked and I saw that my dad was on the other side of the room for the Foucault pendulum, looking at it going back and forth on the other side of the room. And I turned around and there was some guy I didn't even know who was grabbing my butt, who felt that he had and I turned around and I was too young to even say anything angry. I was just shocked, and he grinned at me and just walked away. And it took me a while to sort of even recover, to even tell my parents that it had happened. But the point of this story is that the reason that the guy thought it was okay is that by the age of 11, he felt that I had already sort of moved into the adult female world. And the adult female world is that you were always on display. You're always kind of on stage to a certain extent. And a lot of things that get said to you are based on the idea that you're on display and that you know it, that you're on stage and that you're giving a performance and that you should be aware of the results of your performance. And the point of the story I just told you is that at 11, I really had no idea that I was giving a performance then, that I had, or what it might be or what people might expect from it. And yet I learned very quickly, what the point was and what the performance was and what people expected from me. And every girl learns this at a really early age. And the kind of performance I'm talking about goes on to, I would say, from probably, for a lot of girls, it's way before 11, probably even 8 or 9. And it goes on really until you die. And it's the reason why I'm particularly not sold on the idea that there is freedom of speech on this show. because freedom of speech of the kind that folks are, yes, everyone, there is freedom of speech for everyone to yell whatever they think to me on the street all the time. And you know what? I hear it everywhere I go all the time, even when I'm not in the mood, even when I'm changing the batteries in my Walkman, even when I'm sort of, thinking about something really sad that happened in my life. It doesn't matter. I'm out in public, and the expectation of people in the society is that a woman out in public is on display, on stage, and should be ready to receive her public. And what my position on this show is, this is like me inviting you into my house. Meaning, it's true. I mean, you can come in and you can be rude to me, and I might even accept that, but it's my decision. I am the one who gets to decide whether you get to be rude to me or not, in the same way that I'm the one that gets to decide exactly how close you get to my vagina. And I put this in a very female way because I think that might be easier for people to understand, but it's not any less true for Bill than it is for me. That, Bill gets to decide, how close people get to him, and it doesn't make him a good guy or a bad guy. It makes him a guy. It means that he gets to stand up on his own hind legs and decide who he is, what he wants, and the way in which people deal with him. And it's so retarded that I should even have to say this on the air here, but I notice it comes up a lot, and in a weird way, it comes up even more. I notice on the internet. I notice on a lot of the boards that I'm on, and not just things like anarchist boards, where people think like, anarchism means I get to do what I want, and if somebody doesn't like it, they're a dick. It comes up on all kinds of things. I mean, even things like home decorating or television, or professional wrestling. Things that you would think this would never come up. People that you would think would be outside of this way of thinking. If people object to what they're doing, that they're a jerk. It just means, you're going to have to work it out with them in real life the way you would in real life. If somebody objects to what you say in real life, you're going to have to talk to them about it, aren't you? Or pay the consequences, aren't you? Anyway, I mean, I just think this is anarchism 101, is that in order to act as an anarchist and to act without leaders, you have to know who you are, and you have to stand up for who you are, and you have to be who you are, and then you can make common, concert with the people around you. But you really have to stand up for yourself, and you have to know who you are, and you have to believe that you yourself are worth standing up for. And that's the end of my little speech. Okay, can I take the liberty of playing devil's advocate and please do, and predicting all of the responses which we would get if, in fact, we chose to take telephone calls? Yeah, but you know what I'd first like to hear before you do that? I want to hear your own actual response. Oh, amen. I'm glad you said it so I didn't have to. Okay. Because you've got way more creds than I do. Because I'm a crab, as everybody knows. So I'm a bigger crab. You're not a crab. So, no, that my I'm actual... a crab. I'm a cancer. I'm the biggest crab. On the contrary, I think you're both big crabs. Tremendous crab. I'm a bigger crab. You're a I'm a crabette. I'm a king crab. You're a curmudgeon. I'm a queen crab. And Anne-Marie. I'm a queen crab. She's a little crab. A little crabby. Oh, you're saying I have to be a little princess crab and not a queen crab? Oh, I don't know. I think so. Your Majesty. Oh! Does this mean I can't grab Bill's butt anymore? Only if you can set up Foucault's pendulum going, then you can do what you want. That's what I learned. Okay, so... Science! May I please take the liberty? Do. Well, we pay for it. We're the subscribers. We pay for the radio station. Aren't we entitled to a voice? Yes, of course. So don't you have to let us talk on the air every show? No. Every minute. Why not? We pay for it. We pay your salary. Oh, right. You don't have a salary. But we pay for the radio station. Well, I pay my salary, too. Oddly enough. The point of us getting a show is that we are the ones who get to decide that. If enough people think that we are making bad decisions, then we get off the air. and then other people can make the decision about who is interesting and who is not.
Okay, which brings us to the second point. Isn't it inherently undemocratic that you have a show and I don't?
Yes. Yes, of course it is. I mean, it's inherently undemocratic that you read a book and Stendhal wrote the plot and you didn't, and, have you read it all to the end. Everything could be choose your own adventure, but it's not. Or a Tolstoy, whoever Zora Neale Hurston, or however you want, You can get upset about that aspect of artistic production, and there are many people who are. There are many people who think that there should be no such thing as a finished painting made by one person, that anybody should be able to go in to any painting and made by anybody at any time and just add on to it. And that's like, one kind of decision. But I don't agree with it, You could say that that's a more anarchist position than the one that I'm taking, but I don't think so. I think that a more anarchist position is I get to start with who I am and present to you who I am, and then you make a judgment about it. And you can judge that I'm a jerk, and then you don't like it, whatever. But I believe that you have to start from the position that you're dealing with two human beings, or however many people in there, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, many human beings that are doing the show, and that you make a judgment of them as they are.
But why should you have the microphone and not me? I'm a dues-paying member of the station.
Go on and try to get a show.
But you see, you have a show because you're a part of the corrupt BAI machine, and you brown those up and act like a crony and blah, 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 blah.
Well, let me try and figure out why this isn't the case. It's true. I mean, I got onto the show because I was friends with the people who were doing the show initially, and a lot of people get on the air because they were friends with people who were people on the air initially, or they had something interesting to tell the people who were on the air initially, or something to add to a show that was on the air initially. And if people feel that the whole way of getting a show is sufficiently corrupt, then I have no answer to that. But I don't think it's all that bad. I don't think that things have deteriorated that badly at the station that it is impossible to get on the air if you are an interesting person who has an interesting line of talk and really is an authority on a subject that, might have an audience here. I really don't think that it is impossible to get on the air here. Although it may, you may not be able to get on immediately. I believe that it could happen because I've seen it happen just even in the time that I've been here, in the 10 years I've been on. I've seen a lot of people get shows. They didn't have them before just because they were interesting people, not because they were, necessarily, the best friends of the people who run the station.
Well said. Well, maybe later we'll take phone calls on this burning question. And
we have other producers here. What do they
This
think?
is
How
true.
do you get a show on the station?
Sharon,
Now Sharon and Pickles, now that they have a show that's old enough to buy liquor on its own.
Well, was that true? No.
Yeah.
No.
21 years.
Yep.
Oh, our Paul, 21 years, yes, but not Pickles necessarily.
Well, you speak of my identical cousin, yes.
Yes.
Yes, yes, she and I both have been here since 1996, I believe. And Anne-Marie and I, we ended up on the show because of, basically because Peter asked us to come in. Peter Lamborn Wilson.
Who knew us from other things.
That's
the point. It's just like he didn't just meet us on the street.
No.
We had worked with him on other things, and he had...
And if we're betraying, state secrets here, he got the show because he knew James Irsay way back 20 years ago.
He knew Steve Post.
Exactly.
And so on and so forth. But I can remember being on this very show many years ago and taking phone calls and having my little finger ready on the squelch button because there are some people who indeed still call in to you guys to this day who like to say all kinds of things on the air, like to call you, especially if you're a woman, all kinds of, some of the 7 words that you can't say, on TV.
The worst offenders we've pretty much got domesticated. There's some pretty bad ones out there, but the worst offenders have retreated in recent years. Wouldn't you agree, Anne-Marie? The worst offenders?
Not that I've heard, and I'm not Anne-Marie, but I mean...
A couple of them have. I know who you mean. But
yeah. So, you know... Thank you, Max.
Stop coughing.
Take care of that.
King Max.
But, you know, and then you've had some very, very interesting people call up, and I'd have to say the very, very interesting people who call in, and this is for a lot of shows on BAI, are not people who call in all the time.
That's right.
And sometimes it's very hard to get to those people, you know, and often they have some really interesting things to say.
And know more than the host about the subject at hand.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, no, those are the best calls.
But it's hard to get to them sometimes, you know. And I don't think if you have somebody who's just going to call in and be abusive, you know, I think you just say, oh, thank you for calling, and then go on to the next call. But, you know.
And as I said, I even think they have the right, you know, the constitutional right to be abusive, but I have the right to not listen to it.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and that doesn't make necessarily for particularly grand radio either. You know.
No.
And, of course, Back of the Book does not take phone calls.
That's right. Well, actually...
In its wisdom.
Yeah, actually, we have taken phone calls somewhat in the past. I would take them once or twice a year, and then it started slacking off. I haven't gotten around to it for the past
I don't believe I've ever heard you guys take phone calls.
It's been like a decade or so since I've done it. But when I first started doing Back of the Book, I took more phone calls. But part of the reason why I didn't was because part of the rap against freeform live radio was, oh, that's lazy radio.
Right. So you just come on and do whatever is in your head, or you let your listeners do your show.
The rap
that was Peter's reason for not doing it.
Yeah, the rap was all you have to do for that is you come in with a bunch of records. This is the old days when we had
a microphone and a telephone.
Yeah,
that's
basically
all
go with a bunch of records, play some records, take some phone calls, and it's this lazy crap. And
that can work, but it's not, you know...
Yes, I know, but...
It shouldn't be like a uniformly imposed, you know...
Well, what he was saying was it was an attack on the whole idea of live radio, was that any jerk could do it.
And I didn't want to do that.
And many jerks did.
So I started producing a lot of produced stuff early on in Back of the Book, and a lot of very taped things. And part of the thing was... the program director said, okay, you can do that, and I actually have a restriction nobody else has. And it's not like, you know, I'm nailed to it or something, but I agreed to it and I hold to agreements, even when I think they're stupid, which is I don't have live guests. I can't have live guests.
No, I'm sorry, why is that?
Because the program director at the time, again, this is 21 years ago.
Isn't this program director dead?
No, he's not dead. He's around. But he's long gone from here. And I doubt if he even remembers it, but I agreed to it. And no program director...
Why? What was the rationale behind this?
Because he thought, the same reason why he made it bi-weekly, because this was one of his brilliant brainstorms. And I had been doing...
Yeah, but this seems arbitrary. I can see, you know, bi-weekly for scheduling purposes, but why were you prohibited from having live guests?
Because I had been doing a lot of produced programming. I had been producing... Gay Rap and Gay New York and The Gay Show and all of these things. And basically, some of those shows I was ending up being executive producer of. In fact, I was the complete producer of it. And these shows were very, very put together. In radio, we call that they were produced programs, which means all anybody did was come in and put a reel of tape on and an entire radio... Pardon me.
Well, you cough on the air.
I cough on the air. Pardon me. An entire radio show happens there. So everything is in there. There, you know, various people talking, actuality, as we call it, stuff from someplace else, a news show. There was this whole thing that I would do. So the program director said, well, that's good. And he wanted that on because he thought that would be great to have in the middle of the night. And I was good at it. And I also think he didn't think I could talk on the air for very long live. The The past.
We showed him.
Clearly, he never spent much
wrong.
time with you.
No. Well, actually, I got 3 months into the program and became a big enemy of his because I did a produced piece on a group he didn't like, and he that was it. He hated me after that.
What
Anyway,
group was that, dare I ask?
the North American Man-Boy Love Association.
Oh, maybe I shouldn't have asked. Okay.
And so I interviewed them, and he didn't like that, and well, anyway, that's another story. But the thing was, I came on and I wanted to do a radio program that wasn't lazy. It was free-form live radio, but how I thought it should be, and I wanted to put a hell of a lot of work into it, and I did. So I did enormous amounts of work, and after some number of months, I discovered that people listening on the overnights really want to feel that pulse on the other side of the microphone. They want to know that when they're hearing a voice, they're hearing it right now. And people really preferred live human beings to a lot of production. I'm not saying you have to do zero production or something, but they really preferred the talking of me live to putting on an awful lot of taped interviews and stuff like that.
Well, we've got a couple more producers in the room. What do they think?
This is true. Max, Kathy?
I gotta go home and get my records.
No! Jeez, Louie.
I don't believe I've ever heard listener phone calls on...
Come.
Oh, you missed last week's show, huh? I took
Oh, that's true. You did. You took phone. That's true.
20 minutes.
Yes, that's true. You did.
Repeat the question for Kathy.
Kathy, what is your philosophy on listener phone calls?
Oh, yeah. Well, I take listener phone calls, and I try to keep... I listen to those calls as long as they're relevant to whatever the show is about. And so I think it's good to take listener phone calls, but I think it requires discipline on both parts. And you have to, and some cooperation from both the listener and the host in order to have a successful exchange. I find that a lot of people, well, not a lot, but some people call in because they like to hear themselves. They want to be able to promote whatever their idea is, and it may not have anything relevant to do with your program.
Not even an idea, but merely the sound of their voice.
So, and then when that happens, I don't think that's necessarily the place for it. So, no, but I do take calls. I enjoy taking calls. And I usually find the listeners have a lot of interesting things to say. Some do have a lot of interesting things to say.
No, a lot
and
do.
I enjoy that. I really enjoy that. So most definitely I take listener calls, but it's unfortunate when people are not able to be succinct in their message. And you end up, if you have only an hour program, as I do, or maybe a half-hour segment, a call has to be quick.
That's one of the things I actually find most frustrating is that some of the people that I think potentially are most interesting really have a hard time being concise because they didn't call in with the idea of, I'm going to just get it done like that. And if you could just have the time to get to the end of their thought, they'd probably be more interesting than some of the people that are able to be concise. But you can't do it anyway because it's going to take them 20 minutes to ramble on.
But of course,
they can't get to the point. Yeah. And I think that's an important thing for listeners to think about. And that's the difference between a listener and a host, is that a host needs to be able to get to the point quickly and convey a lot, a big idea in a brief amount of time with a few words, and to be able to exchange and sort of accommodate this exchange. And I think that people who are not accustomed to radio don't understand that this is a real skill. It's a craft that takes time to develop. And for those people who are out there who think that they should have radio shows, they should think about, how can I make this phone call brief and to the point? And if you can do that, then you would be a candidate for someone who might want to have a radio show.
Yes.
Indeed. Well said. But, of course, often you get the worst of both worlds, where people call in and they are neither concise nor have anything interesting to say. Unfortunately. Thank you, Kathy Davis of Heart of Mine.
Yes.
Oh, do I get to go to the guest chair now?
Yes.
Well, here's my theory.
What could be worse radio than someone who's yelling before he's even on the microphone and on his birthday?
Until I get
on
to the
his
microphone.
birthday.
Yes,
What kind of an operation?
I have to take off my crown.
Is this? What
so
radio skill is this? Yelling as he's halfway.
All right, now you
across
actually
the room from
host
the
two
microphone.
different shows around here,
And
don't
yet
you,
he's
Max?
Yelling
At
halfway
least.
across the room from the microphone.
You wear two different hats.
And a crown.
And a crown.
What a douche.
Today.
Yes, I went to Clearwater. I bought 3 different hats, actually, but...
Okay.
And now you have a fourth.
I was just talking about being concise.
Well, unaccustomed as I am to public speaking, let me say... No, the thing about... We have to go way back in old school BAI when we had the situation, as R. Paul described, where people would come in and just say, it's open phones! And, that is sloppy and lazy, and you get, about what you could expect from that. Phone calls work best, it seems to me, when a host lays out a subject and then throws it open for discussion. That's where the phone calls work. Of course, last week when I decided to take phone calls, I figured I was sitting in Tony Short's time, and people are accustomed to being able to call in. And it's nice to take the pulse of the audience once in a while. So, I figured, why not? But it is much better if you lay out your subject in advance or some parameters.
Which you didn't particularly.
No, well,
Yeah, see?
I have nothing on my mind. I want to play music.
What was your reward for not laying out a subject?
I heard that there are 3 or 4 people listening out there who don't have 3 names that I won't name. But what about Blackwater? Oh. Anyone calling in? Is there one persistent light blinking over there?
At the moment, there isn't. We have been totally intimidated tonight.
Not until 1, because the people who are going to be calling at 1 aren't even listening. That's the really sad part of it. I really feel that my idea, part of my idea of this, partially is I really feel that, it would be a waste of time to have all these people hanging around here and not talk to them. But also that we would have a discussion about what we expect from calls and then take calls. And my belief is that most of the people who would call at 1 don't listen to the first hour and tune into 1 and
well, we'll find out, won't we, if we choose to.
Now we'll discuss produced radio.
Please.
Produced radio.
These days around BAI, as far as I know, the only produced radio is turning around the F words in music.
And
is there any other production that goes on around here? Well, the news, yes. The news and a couple of things that we take from outside.
What do you mean turning around the F?
Like so that it doesn't say, you mother bleeper. It says, you mother cuffer,
yes,
shall we say. That's the sort of production. It's a lost art of radio, at least at WBAI, of someone doing a documentary style. We have no Ken Burns here at WBAI in the audio format.
Well,
and
we might, but it's difficult for them to do it here because of the way that the studio is laid out here.
Well, but everyone works at home now. At least that's what our engineer tells us. You don't like the way things don't work around here? Go work at home.
Work at home? What does that mean?
Well, if you had a computer and you had the skills,
well, you could broadcast from the privacy of your own.
I was going to say, then you could do some podcast out of your house and be some jerk with a blog. I just what's the point of that? Isn't the point of having a broadcast station that everybody can hear, that you have studios that are available to the general, New York City public, just as was laid out in the Pacifica bylaws?
Right, no, his point was that you go do the work at home, not that you broadcast it to yourself at home. But, why should we have working facilities here? You can do it at home.
We must train them in, what is it, choral music, and what are some of the other things we're supposed to do?
Performance.
Performance.
Amateur musicians.
Amateur musicians, yes.
So, bring your accordion.
Choral groups. Choral groups is
I'm an amateur musician.
Remember.
It's the all New Year's Party Horn Orchestra. We just fulfilled the WBAI mission for today.
We did it.
That's right, choral groups.
Here's a specialist on the air horn.
Oh. Oh, Max, you do that so well.
I learned from Shepard, along with Jew's harp, he showed me how to blow the... I don't even know what that's called. What is this thing called?
I think it's a lot more fun to watch than
Is
it
this
is
a serpentine? Well, it does make
When I
a
was a
noise.
kid, it was called a snake.
That's called a serpentine? Well, I know that the thing that has a much larger piece on it is called a blowout, because I just saw it today in the party store. But this thing is called, I don't have the name on the package, but it also had an equally funny name. It is like a kazoo.
A razor.
No, it wasn't a razor. It was a trumpeter or something like that. It had the name of another actual musical instrument built into it. But
does Uncle Sidney want to say a few words about his
phone calls, yes,
philosophy of listener phone calls?
Can you get another piece of cake?
Oh, you didn't come to be on the radio?
It's good cake.
It is. It's
really good cake.
Seeing the good cake is going to... Now he's going to give a really good statement.
No, you're right.
Yes, we're all waiting, Sydney,
Yes, Sydney.
for your pronouncement upon radio.
What do you think? I don't know. Well,
Here, pull up a microphone.
look. What was the question?
Exactly.
What is your philosophy of listener phone calls?
Oh, listener phone calls. It's like 6 listeners, and they always call up and annoy you. You want the truth? There
That
it
many,
is.
eh?
Yeah. And like Anne-Marie says, the good ones, they're rare, and all that. It's like, you see, like that one over there. You have to have in your head, we were taught, those old-timers were taught, listen, they would say, look, bub, we have to understand that at that
Who
time...
ran things here, Ann Landers?
Yeah.
Look, Bob.
All right, Bob, here's the lowdown. 1, don't get your meat where you get your bread. 2, your listeners, a lot of them are smarter than you, so watch it. Now, that's how it used to be.
Yes.
Yeah, but now... I used to love taking phone calls, and I would take a lot more if the ones who never call up would call up.
Right.
And not to hurt anyone's feelings, but
that's a tautology, isn't it?
But it's like this. A couple of things. If the regulars call, no one else will.
That's right.
And if only men call, women won't.
That's very true.
Yeah.
That's extremely
So what
true.
I prefer, like sometimes on Carryaway, which is a show I do Sunday night, Monday morning, alternating with our four Martin. Hey, our Martin, back in the book. Hey.
Crummy commercial.
Well, Leonardo da Vinci would like to give a word for our poor Martin Goodman.
Oh, thank you.
Another crummy commercial.
Your wife is quite lovely.
And keep your hands to yourself.
Watch out, Einstein got in trouble for that the other night.
I was dead for 400 years.
Him and his
you must remember.
relativity.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, I love my relatives. Well, I love it when people who have never called before, on rare occasions, do call up and they have bizarre, offbeat, sometimes brilliant things to say, and I'm always happy. It moves the program along in a good way. The regulars call up, bless their hearts, they don't know that they have a negative effect on the program. And that if, for example, I say, fine, everybody, even the cranks, they want to express themselves. They need to have their voice in it, fine. Then if
I speak to sexy Sadie?
Exactly. If I was like that, I would start up an internet radio. Like, listen, I go on the internet and I'm doing all kinds of things all the time. Like Paul was talking about in his show, the stuff I'm into. I got my fingers in 1,000 digital pies, and I'm discovering that people all over the planet are doing their own little radio or television shows everywhere. Yeah. So if you really want to do that, if I had no connection with Pacifica, oh God, and I would be out there doing exactly what I'm doing now, which is I have inadvertently started my own television channel. I didn't realize I'd done it until I actually read the instructions. And the other thing is, I'd be doing my own little radio show because I love radio and I love, being a closet exhibitionist. And the other thing is this, I actually prefer it when women call my show. Because like I said, it will inspire others, not just women, but people who are not into that cycle of destroying the mood of the station. How often have you been doing a show where somebody will actually call up and say they weren't listening, and then will want to talk about something else, and will expect you to keep them on?
Exactly.
I mean, what? And they don't know that's rude.
But you're just being an authoritarian. Why should you have to, set the agenda for what the show is about? It's listener-supported radio.
To which I say, bleep them. At the point blank. Hey, I'm the guy behind the console. I'm the artist here. I'm doing this thing, and you have...
Yeah, but you just got that way through cronyism, and it's all a corrupt machine, and what right have you got to have a show if I don't have one?
Because I'm smarter than you are. That's why.
But the thing is, that even if that were true, the point is, he has it because he is smarter and he does do an interesting show. That's why people tune in and then listen all the way to the end. And the guy that calls up and says...
I demand term limits for radio programs. Nobody should ever show for more than 4 weeks at a time.
The guy
turnover.
The guy that says, I wasn't listening, but I want to say this, that's the guy with his hand on my ass at the Foucault's pendulum at Griffith Observatory. That, to me, that's who that guy is. Right. I wasn't listening, but I saw... an 11-year-old ass, and I wanted to put my hand on it. That's what that guy is to me. And every time somebody calls into me, that's what they're saying.
And that goes double for me. So get your hand off my ass.
And with that, it's 1 o'clock in the morning here on listener-supported, non-commercial, WBAI.
Call up and get your hand off my ass.
Yes, call WBAI. Get your goddamn hands off our asses.
Here in New York City, on Max Schmid's birthday. And maybe, should we plunge into the unknown after this rather lengthy exegesis here?
But only to people who already know the phone number.
No. I think people who have the phone number memorized should be excluded, in fact.
Look, it's like
of course, there's no way to exclude them.
Their phone systems are so arranged that regular callers can't get through.
Oh, really?
Yes.
How does that work?
That's part of why I don't take the calls.
The number of people who think that we screen the calls.
We don't.
How could you possibly think we screen?
No, we just use this caller ID system that the
Why
FBI
would we have these crabby on-air hosts if we could screen the calls?
How could anybody possibly think that we screen the calls? That's
impossible.
Absurd.
Oh, look, it's my favorite caller. What about Blackwater?
No, seriously, forgive my naivete here. How do they technically...
There are systems sold specifically to radio stations, which are for exactly this.
They recognize the frequent call numbers and...
you can program them. What happens is the call comes in, and it puts up... you are creating a database. You usually have somebody, and you create a database of people calling in. And you put their names next to their numbers, so when the call comes in from that number, it says it's Joe Blow. Now, this guy calls in and he's a numbnut. You really don't want him on, so you push a special button, and it excludes him. It excludes him usually for a 3-month period. You can make it permanent or a longer. You could program these things, but the standard is a 3-month push button. So now when he calls, he can't get in. Well. So he goes down the block and calls in, and he's getting in. The thing they have...
Voice recognition technology.
No. What they use is basically a technique whereby not only... you can, again, this is programmable of how much this works, but if you get... if a guy calls in and he's bugging you too much, and you push the right button, it excludes him for 3 months... and everybody within 4 blocks of that phone.
Wow.
Now again, this is very
possible?
It's very programmable.
But especially with cell phones today.
Cell phones, I don't know if what they will do with the cell phones. It probably doesn't work on that. But
cell phones should be ruthlessly suppressed.
There are whole areas of the Upper West Side of Manhattan that can't make any calls to
because
NYC
of one
because
crank.
Of one guy.
Well, basically you can make it how much you want to do. You can make it so that it's not 4 blocks, but you can do 4 blocks.
No, he's making this up.
And no. I remember when people were trying to sell this to us.
Does that have something to do with the GPS and the taxi cabs too? I think I've heard this before.
No, it's the space aliens.
All right, so
obviously.
should we 212
Foil hat.
Didn't they?
Yes.
209
Tinfoil hat.
2900?
Those are the guys what they took down the World Trade Center, right? Them and the Mothman, and the blog people.
212-209-2900. 212-209-2900. If you want to hear yourself on the air talking about listener phone calls. Well, this is kind of like self-referentialism or something. This is like postmodernism. 212-209-2900 is in our show. Shall we,
Yes.
we only have 3 calls. My philosophy of listener phone calls, you always wait till you have at least 4 or 5. Okay, now we've got 4 or 5. All right, let's do it. Take it off conference. And yes? Yes. Here we go. You're on the air.
Shouldn't it be on conference?
In delay.
In delay.
In delay? No, I don't think so.
Oh,
it is in delay.
Okay.
How do I take it out of delay?
No.
Leave it in delay.
No.
Oh, okay.
Jesus Christ. What?
Well, look, I mean, I don't know. It's a free speech thing.
Yeah, we're here in the middle of the FM dial. We're doing bleep on you guys, how much we don't like you, and let's take some call. Oh, by the way, we've taken a delay off, so you can say anything you want about us. Come on in. Hell, what the heck? It's $350,000 a pop? What the heck? Yeah.
Should we let this mysterious soul talk? Hello out there.
Are you crazy? Hang up.
All right. He's got stage fright, so we're moving on.
I wonder why.
Oh, wait a minute. I forgot to turn him on.
Well,
sorry about that. Call back. We'll get you back. Promise.
Hold on.
Call back.
Let me go back to the office. I'll get you the manual, okay?
Hello?
Oh, there he is.
Hello?
Hello?
Oh.
This is the beginning of a third millennium, and it might be nice to have some entirely new progressive ideas for a radical radio station in the third millennium. And there are lots of interesting intellectuals with The Nation or The Progressive or Mother Jones.
I hate all those publications.
Who have no interest in coming on BAI because they feel that it's not an orderly intellectual forum, and it's 20 years out of date.
30.
And what is going to happen in 5 years is that right now there are a lot of people who, as a reflexive habit from the 60s and the 70s, are at the end of their careers and they have disposable income and they donate to BAI, and you only have shortfalls of 50 or 100 grand in a fundraiser. But when those people pass away, you're going to have shortfalls of $300,000 in a fundraiser if you don't bring on new ideas.
That's already happened.
We've had 2 fundraisers that have fallen short by 300,000 to 400,000. So, however, I certainly hope that you're wrong. I hope that we can, in fact, get more folks to listen to us and all of that, and that we can engage the listeners, which is the big thing to do. And also, I have to say, I wanted to pick up on something somebody else said over here before. The fact is that media is changing. Media is changing completely, and there are more people. Like Uncle Sidney says, he's doing his little TV show stuff. He's got a TV channel. Well, he's putting it out, and other people are too. So the media is changing tremendously. Radio, in more ways than one, ain't what it used to be, and that's going to get more so as time goes on.
Meaning what?
Meaning that it used to be that if you wanted to hear some other folks, you could turn on the radio and you would hear, in the extreme, you would hear, like in the 30s, only a very few radio stations, and that was it. The people on that radio station were the only ones you were going to hear, and that's how it worked, unless you wanted to get on a telephone and go down a telephone book and call people up and say, hello, I want to talk to you, which didn't work. Now, with the Internet especially, you've got people putting stuff out there for everyone. YouTube is an example, and it's, of course, also time-shifted. Somebody puts something up there, and they put it up there at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
Well, some person who's working a 9-to-5 job then comes home, and at 7:30 at night goes up to YouTube and sees whatever that person did. Mm-hmm. This is a different distribution of the media, and that is having an effect. That's having an having an effect now. It's going to have a bigger effect because it is snowballing.
I'm not sure what it has to do with what we're talking about, though.
Well, somebody was mentioning before about the fact, we were talking about the free speech part, where we're on the air and other people aren't, and
that's tyranny.
Yes, well, okay, and so more and more people are on it, and it's changing the way it is because you have a certain amount of time you can spend listening or watching, and if you're doing a certain lot of it on the internet, you're not listening to the radio.
Well, yes, but
and radio becomes much more, or a much less. A much less pointed thing, so to speak. A much less.
Well, I'm afraid the radio is going to be, left in the dust completely. But caller, do you really? Well, caller is gone. But what I would have liked to have asked the caller is, do you really think that the Nation and Mother Jones and places like that are really, hotbeds of new blood and new ideas? I certainly don't think so. I think that they're just as retrogressive as WBAI, which this is. WBAI, you're on the air.
Why are we not singing Happy Birthday?
Because we already did. Should we sing it again? Happy birthday to Max. Happy birthday to Max. Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday to Max.
How old are you now? You look like a cow. Oh,
bye. Bye-bye. WBAI, you're on the air. Hello.
Yes, good morning.
WBAI, you're on the air.
Yes, good evening.
Good evening.
Yes.
Turn down your radio, please.
Yes, I'll do that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I thought you said you weren't on delay, and I thought I could safely listen to it.
No, we are on delay. Yes.
Well, that's okay. Yeah. First of all, yes, happy birthday to Max. How many years do you have now, Max?
I lose track. I was born in 1951. You do the math.
I'm older than you are. Ha. Anyway, very interesting show. I haven't turned you off.
That's flattering.
Well,
Waiting for something to happen.
I do a lot. The issue about the listeners. The point is that I listen to radio, and I'm blessed being in the city of New York, so I can listen to lots of other stations besides BAI that are just as interesting and many times much more. And the people who call into those stations don't do the things that the people who call into BAI do. My point is that the people who listen to BAI, unfortunately, are some very amateurish, ignorant, inexperienced people. It seems that way to me because if I listen to WNYC or WNYE...
Well, they screen the phone calls.
Exactly.
Well, actually, they don't screen them in terms of content.
Sure they do.
Yeah, they do.
Lenny knows who's going to talk about what because it's on his.
I don't know. I've called in plenty of times, and they just ask me my name, and
And what do you want to talk about?
Exactly.
And they put it up on a computer screen, and he selects which calls he wants to take.
I've called NYC too, and that's been my experience. They always ask me what I want to say before I say it.
Well, I think the main thing is what somebody said before. At this point, WBAI is superfluous. The ability to deliver the kind of information. For example, I watch WNYC a lot if I can. At 6 o'clock, I watch Deutsche Welle, and then I'll watch the Italian news, and then Le Monde. I know about stuff a month before you talk about it on your news. I mean, a month in some cases. So you're kind of superfluous.
All right, so why are you listening tonight?
I felt like it. I turned it on. You have an interesting show, so I'm listening.
All right, so if we have an interesting show, we're not superfluous.
Yeah, well, tonight you are.
Oh, well, thank you.
In terms of news.
No, well, look, I'm a news junkie, okay?
I've got 4 Spanish language on the air stations. I don't even need cable for that. And I get news on Azteca America from Ciudad de Mexico, and on the other stations from all over South America and Europe and things like that. And as I said, I get news several weeks minimum.
Well, look, I think with all due respect, I think you're overstating the case because I'm a news junkie. I follow the news very, very closely. I blog about the news every day, and I get lots of interesting angles from the WBAI and Pacifica News.
Do you listen to Spanish language news? Do you, as I said, catch the Italian, German, or French news on a regular basis?
I listen to the BBC every night.
Well, BBC is excellent, but you need to get a little bit broader.
In terms of radio news, I listen to Pacifica and NPR and BBC. But that's only a small fraction of the general, news which I'm exposed to. I mean, I read the foreign press on the internet every day. I read the Mexican and the Middle Eastern and South American press on the internet every day, and I still get lots of angles I wasn't hip to before from BAI.
Bill, you're a rare person on the station these days.
Right, but I'm telling you that you're overstating the case in terms of how.
Not at all.
No, you are.
There were things happening in France, for example, when they did the issue with putting up the tents along the canals for the homeless. Information that it took a month, because I counted. It took a month before it was even.
Well, that's one instance, but the reverse is probably true too. There's probably plenty of things that the BAI News and Free Speech Radio News are on 2 months before other stations are onto it. I can assure you. I can assure you.
Maybe.
Anyway,
because I don't listen to the station 24/7 like some of the people who call in all the time that you should exclude. Like, for example, Monroe. He should never be put on the air. He should be automatically excluded.
That's our new philosophy around here.
Oh, one last thing. Speaking of things that need to be spoken of, and was mentioned before about shortfalls, when is somebody on BAI going to admit that Gary Null won those multi-million-dollar, maybe billion-dollar suits, and that's the reason why you guys have got to do, all this pitching all the time?
Is this true? Is this true? Hang on. Let's. Yes, please. Can somebody shed some light?
I've heard nothing about
as far as I know, such lawsuits haven't reached any end at all yet.
All right, so this is disinformation or misinformation.
And they're not multi-million, are they?
I don't know.
They're more, a lawsuit of honor, I thought.
But a lot of lawsuits of honor involve large amounts of money. But my impression also was that they had not been settled.
No, there's been no settlement. There's been no court case. These things take a long time. It's at pretty much the very beginning of it.
Okay,
now,
so
you could say that Gary Null has impacted our fundraising by his
you definitely get
not being here.
By his absence.
That's not even up for debate. That's just a fact.
I consider it to be an unfortunate reality because I was, shall we say, not a partisan of Gary Null. But I do recognize that often...
I'll give him this, though. He knew how to do radio.
He certainly knew how to make money.
He knew how to make money, yes. He did know how to make money, I'll grant you that.
I have to say
And it's a function, unfortunately, of the capitalist system that often it's the lowest common denominator that brings in the most loot.
Well, it's a history of radio that, claiming you can bring people back from the dead and cure cancer is going to make a lot of money. All these Mexican radio stations stayed on the air for decades by making such claims.
Exactly. So just because he brought in a lot of money is not an irrefutable argument for continuing to give him access to the microphones around here.
Like some goat gland fluid.
Exactly.
I certainly disagreed with him. However, I have said also I think he was treated unfairly. So I have two positions on it. He was treated unfairly. However,
he was a quack.
I disagreed strongly with him on the air.
Quack, quack. WBAI, you're on the air. Turn down your radio, please.
I just did.
Thank you.
All right. Well, it's great to hear a little, unwindingness and everybody, all you strong radio personalities. It's nice to hear some fun going on and all that. I've been a listener 84, 85, and I've seen it change a lot. I don't like it, but hey, it's good to hear some lightness and hey, the audience should lighten up, on this station. Happy birthday to the birthday boy.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I don't know. I just hope some things turn around. I just don't like certain things, but hey, it's good to hear a little fun tonight and.
Even here on the crabby Moorish Orthodox Radio Crusade.
I got a suggestion. Don't take calls. Just, take a break.
Yeah. A lot of people say that. For all the people out there who demand that we have to take calls every minute that we're on the air, there's 10 people out there who tell me, Weinberg, don't take calls. It's ruining the show. It's bringing everything down. It's bringing down the whole the level of the dialogue and everything. Just don't take calls.
I think we should become the Crusade. I noticed that when Sidney posted the video last week on the Blue Board, he called it the Crusade.
Oh, did he really?
The Crusade. More shows.
Oh, really, Sidney?
We should become the Crusade.
Let's have a word with Sidney after the show here.
7 words and only 7 words.
And your fun driver
could be the
Crusade. get Tom Petty to do a benefit concert.
Exactly.
Crusade.
WBAI, you're on the air.
Yes, hello.
Hello.
I hope I will be concise and not an idiot.
Me too.
Okay, one thing I would like to say to Kathy Davis, I find her, if she's still there, to be the most humane person I hear on the air, and is kind to people who call. Second comment, I have spoken to Sidney Smith off the air. I have spoken to Max, happy birthday, off the air. I have spoken to other people on the air. I have a question, and this will be concise. I have a million others, but this will be concise and not idiotic. Is R. Paul Martin there?
Yep.
Okay. I remember way back when, who was the woman who did the Radio Bandung show?
I'm not going to mention people's names and things on the air because it's not fair. They're not here.
Okay.
Somebody did that program.
Okay. Before the Christmas coup, as you all know what that is, she was saying, I'm going to say stuff that I'm not supposed to say, and I hope all of you listeners out there back me up. No one did. Now it's Asia Pacific Forum. Okay. Now, in that regard, at that same time, R. Paul Martin came on, and I did speak to you, R. Paul Martin, off the air. I even emailed you once or twice. And the rule then was you had to announce the name of the program, the name of the host.
I thought you were going to be concise.
Okay,
and not
the
boring.
name of the host.
This is turning into very unconcise call here.
Now, R. Paul Martin.
Or is it inconcise?
To this day, after 6 years approximately, still says, I'm asking R. Paul Martin to say why.
Say what? Get to the point.
And only he announces his name, the name of the program,
All right,
and the
I'm
ID
Paul
of the
Martin.
station.
Gee whiz, sir.
Well, do you have any idea what he's talking about?
I'm a little puzzled.
Yeah, so am I. I think we've given him more than enough time, given that he said he was going to be concise. WBAI, you're on the air. Hello. Hi.
How you doing?
Okay. Turn down your radio, please.
Yeah.
Turn down your radio.
I just turned it off.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're on the air.
Hey, how you doing?
Mm.
So I guess it's pretty much open phone here.
What's your question?
I don't have a question, actually. I just have a comment.
Okay.
I would say that I'm a long-time listener, and in general, you guys you're great, and you're ahead of the curve, and top shelf in just about every area of endeavor.
But
okay, can you please the guy that's doing the sports in the morning? Can you please
He's not here.
I know he's not there, but just pass it along to him
that what?
That he should, if he's going to do the sports, do
lacrosse.
No.
All right. You got to cut to the chase, man. WBAI.
Highlight. If you don't like the sports guy in the morning, you've got to talk to the people in the morning. We are the producers of this show, and we have control over this show. We don't have control over the other shows.
Thank you. WBAI, you're on the air.
You're a bunch of
pussies. Pussies. Get your hand off my
No,
butt.
I think he was going to say punks. WBAI, you're on the air.
I am a pussy. Get your hand off my butt.
I tuned in tonight expecting to hear Bill give an analysis of opposition groups in Iran or talk about Burma or something like that. So,
Myanmar, please.
Just a short rundown of what you think about what's going on.
What, you
United
mean?
States and Iran.
What, with...
Kind of turn it to a little something serious, and that's what you do the best anyway.
Well, look, I mean, tonight this is sort of the meta program where we're talking about the program itself, and I think that's a legitimate thing to do every once in a while. You're talking about Ahmadinejad's, dog and pony show up at Columbia University. I mean, it was obvious all of the jingles were out there jeering him, and all of the leftists were out there cheering him, and they were both extremely shy of the mark in terms of their analysis. I think that's rather obvious.
Well, what can we do to help the Democratic or progressive opposition in Iran and not come down on the side of the Bush administration. What do you think about that?
Well, I'm glad you asked, because as a matter of fact, I am going to be speaking on October 4th on precisely this matter. I just, as you listeners are probably aware, I got back from a conference in Japan last month in solidarity with the Iraq Freedom Congress, which has sister organizations or sibling organizations in Iran. So they have got organic links to the secular, progressive, anti-imperialist opposition in Iran as well. So please do show up and hear all about it. This is going to be Thursday, October 4th at 7 p.m., sponsored by the New Space, the new School for Pluralistic Anti-Capitalist Education at 44 East 32nd Street, 11th floor, between Park and Madison Avenues. Once again, that's going to be on October 4th at 7 p.m. at 44 East 32nd Street, 11th floor, between Park and Madison Avenues. And we will discuss this question in depth, never you fear.
I have an announcement to make. I forgot to make it.
Please.
The Coney Island Film Festival is this weekend, and it's from Friday to Sunday, and they're going to have 80 different films. One of them, on the one that's going to kick it off on Friday night, is called American Scary, and it's a documentary of American sort of Zachary Chiller theater type movie programs across the years, and Zachary is one of the people that they interview for it, as is Joel Hodgson from Mystery Science Theater, and they have 50 or 60 Joe Bob Briggs and a whole bunch of different people, and the Warriors is something that they show every year at the Coney Island Film Festival. It's at 10:30, and it's a separate admission, but it is like just a trip to go, because people like act out basically the whole film there, including banging the bottles on their hands and everything else. And the awards are going to be given out at the El Dorado bumper car ride. Bump your ass off, starting at 7:30 on Sunday night. And so it's really sort of an amazing thing, and it gets bigger and bigger every year. And 85 films, it's the biggest film festival that they've had in the 4 or 5 years that they've been doing it. And it's this weekend, starting Friday at 6:30.
And I'll be performing my erotic poetry at Satan's Workshop, St. Mark's in the Bowery, Sunday night.
Excuse me?
To get my plug in.
I'm not part of this film festival. I just think people should go.
Well, actually, as long as we're doing announcements, can I do a couple more in the couple remaining? There's going to be actually 2 report backs from Oaxaca happening tomorrow night, Wednesday, the 23rd of September. One is going to be at 6:30 at Hunter College, 68th Street, 23rd? And I'm sorry,
23rd of September.
Oh no, that's incorrect, isn't it? No, 26th, right. Thank you. I stand corrected. Wednesday, September 26th, 6:30 p.m. There's going to be videos and discussion on Oaxaca Under Siege at Hunter College, 68th Street and Lex, up at the Faculty Lounge on the 8th floor. And then also there's going to be a similar discussion tomorrow night at the Brecht Forum. There's going to be another report back from Oaxaca tomorrow night at 7:30 p.m. at the Brecht Forum, which is, of course, at Bank it's 451 West Street, between Bank and Bethune. That's going to be happening tomorrow at 7:30 p.m. Report back from a bunch of local activists who went to Oaxaca. And let's see, there's going to be, don't forget, there's 2 events which are happening this Friday, one of which is the annual War Resisters League award ceremony, where they're going to be giving an award to the Center for Constitutional Rights and the Torture, Abolition, and Survivors Support Coalition. That's going to be happening this Friday up at the Ethical Culture Society, which is at 2 West 64th Street. And then don't forget also, that's going to be at 6 p.m. And then also, I think starting at 7:30 or 8 p.m., there's going to be the big 20th anniversary bash for Time's Up, which is going to be at the Time's Up space, which is at Houston Street, just off of Mott Street. I don't have the address in front of me, but that's you'll find it. It's
on the south side of the street. You can't
yes,
miss it.
Exactly.
There'll be a big crowd of happy people.
Exactly. There you go.
A lot of bicycles.
And with that, we've got 2 minutes left. So what else do we do in the remaining 2 minutes apart from wish Max a happy birthday again?
Yay, we eat cake!
Let's take more calls. More phone calls.
Should we hear more Camper Van Beethoven?
Yeah. What's the record secret in it?
Well, you tell me. Camper Van Beethoven. That's what we opened with, by the way, folks, if you were wondering. That was...
Oh, it's such a great... record.
From Santa Cruz, California, were they?
Oh, they certainly were.
An evil place.
It's a lovely place.
Oh, wait
you're a
second.
hippie.
If you want to work on a
3,
canning
4,
line.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15.
15. Well, that's convenient because it's queued to 16, so...
15.
That should be very easy
Interstellar
indeed.
Overdrive.
Oh, really?
They're the first punk band to cover Interstellar Overdrive.
The Floyds?
Yes,
Interstellar
absolutely,
Overdrive? Wow, I
absolutely.
can't wait. Wonderful.
One of the
All
many
right.
great things
I'm glad we're going to do that instead of taking more listener phone calls. Well, this has been the Moorish Orthodox Radio Crusade on
With
listener-supported,
listener phone calls.
non-commercial, WBAI, with our special pals on board, the Saddle Pals, for Maxwell J. Schmeed's birthday on this historic occasion. And, yes, of course, Arpel Martin was here, Pickles of the North,
Fishman,
and Kathy Davis.
Kathy Davis, and Sidney Schmeed in occultation.
What's up next?
In occultation.
He's in occultation. Up next, weaponry with Tom Whisker and Bob
Leonardo
Santucci.
da
And
Vinci
Leonardo da
guest star.
Vinci. Leonardo da Vinci.
Making a surprise guest appearance.
Absolutely.
And out we go with Camper Van Beethoven. See you next week, everybody, and Salam Alaikum. Here we go. Yeah. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Maxwell. Happy birthday to you.
Later. I'll see you later. So Max, how old are you now? Yes?
I banish you.
Oh. You have the crown.
Come back. How old? 19. By around 8:30 this evening, I'll turn 50.
Yes. Eight. Could it be?
58.
7.
57.
Yes. Maxwell
I'm
James
trying to do the
Mead,
math.
57 years old. Whippersnapper.
Enough foolishness, I have to take a reading now.
Ever on the job. We'd be lost without you, Max. This place wouldn't last 5 minutes without Maxwell J.
And you will see that is not ginger ale.
Yes, no, it is ginger ale. It's
Yeah,
not Dr. Pepper.
Why no?
No. It's
There
not
are no beverages in
Mountain
radio.
Mountain Dew. That's what it is. It's not
room.
Mountain Dew.
No, there are no beverages in here, especially because we have new chairs.
As you can see, a good time had by all. Congratulations. What's your name again?
I want you to know our transmitter is working up to capacity.
You see, there is hope
We
for
have no
WBAI.
life.
We shoved the wiener in the warp drive mechanism, and all is well.
Yes. Thank God. Okay, and good night to you all. Now we go on to the real party. Fuck you.
Well, we'll see you, I mean.
Hey, we're losing half our party. Where you gals going?
I would have some cake.
They're going to bring the
Are you going to do a radio show?